What is investor relations? The best way to describe it is to think of the CEO of a publicly traded corporation. The CEO is the top of the corporate pyramid and is completely responsible for the running of the entire company. To make it more recognizable, let's use a company everyone knows, like Apple. The current CEO of Apple is Tim Cook. Believe it or not, Tim Cook, just like most students, gets a report card. But instead of being graded on reading, math, science, and receiving an A, B, or C, Tim Cook is being graded based on the performance of his company, and the grade is the stock price over time. If people feel the CEO, or in this case Tim Cook, is doing a good job, and it is being reflected in the company's performance, the stock will likely go up. For the CEO, this means recognition and lots of money, considering that many CEOs are compensated through stock options in addition to their salary. As the price of the stock increases, so does the value of those options. However, if investors don't have faith in the CEO to increase the value of the firm or believe the CEO is taking the company in the wrong direction, then it is likely the stock price will decrease. When this occurs, in many cases, the CEO's compensation will go far down, and if it happens over a long enough period of time, the CEO can even be fired or forced to resign. So now that we understand how important the stock price is to the CEO, let's look into how the stock price moves in either direction. The stock price moves higher or lower due to the economics of supply and demand. Assuming that the supply of shares remains relatively consistent throughout the year, as demand increases or decreases, so will the price of the stock. So how does the CEO affect demand for their stock? This is where investor relations comes into play. Though many small and micro-cap public companies may have a dual-role CFO or investor relations manager or officer, most mid-cap and larger corporations have a dedicated investor relations team, ranging from one individual to upwards of 10. The purpose of this investor relations team is twofold. The first major responsibility for the investor relations team is to build demand for the stock. The investor relations team is responsible for marketing the company to investors, to entice them that their company is a great investment. One can accomplish this by proactively reaching out to investors, going to investor events, holding meetings with investors, which typically hold stock of companies like yours, and answering the waterfall of investor questions, which will come into your office from potential shareholders. The other major responsibility of the investor relations team is to keep close communication with current investors. Many major corporations have thousands, if not millions, of investors, and those stockholding investors are the actual owners of the company. The investor relations team is responsible with keeping those investors up to date with everything that is occurring with the company and how the company is doing financially. By keeping the current investors well informed on the company, the investor relations team would hope to stem any potential selling and entice further buying of the stock from current owners or stockholders. The investor relations team is an integral part of any publicly traded corporation and typically answers directly to the CEO or CFO. It is not unusual for the investor relations team to be in very close communication with the CEO and CFO and even travel together to meetings.